We welcome you to the Phillies pregame show brought to you by FOCO, Goldstein, Matt Brown, and one of the biggest games in what I can remember. I mean, you got the playoffs last year, maybe even go back to Game 7 of the NLDS, but a must-win, huge game for the Phillies today, coming off a game on Saturday night. They look to turn it around and tie up this NLDS 1-1 tonight against the Los Angeles Dodgers. Matt, stressful night ahead of us. How are you?
I am still not doing great. If anybody was watching yesterday's show, it's an even worse weekend now. Now it's rolling into the week, and now I had to be stressful for 3+ hours tonight. So really not looking forward to that. But you pretty much hit the nail on the head. This is the most important Phillies game. I couldn't even tell you how many years. I mean, you could say the Game 7 Arizona is another one too, like in terms of most important because it was important. But you know how that ended. If plain out simple, and this is going to be how we're going to talk about this tonight. If the Phillies don't win tonight's game, it's almost impossible for them to come back in the series. It's only happened twice in NLDS history. A team's come back from down 0-2 to win the series. And those numbers don't look good for the Phils. And in my opinion, you might as well wrap up the season, and major changes will be coming to this Phil's team if they cannot pull off a win tonight and end up losing the series. So it's looking like for this group of Phils right here, the most important game in the history of their franchise, or the history of this group of Phils right now, because a loss tonight, who knows what's going to happen with this team.
Well, let's stay positive for now.
We're going to try.
We still got an hour to go until first pitch at Citizens Bank Park. And, we can stay negative, but let's feel positive. But we're going to talk about the negative first, and that's what happens. Phillies were up 3-0 in the second inning. They did what they needed to do early in the game. They got to Ohtani. They were chipping away at him. Offense goes silent from there, and that's what I want to start with, is one of the main notes from Saturday night that I don't feel like is being talked about enough, because it's not, is the top three guys in the order. Trey Turner, Kyle Schwarber, and Bryce Harper went 1 for 11 on Saturday with 6 strikeouts. This is not something new with your top guys in the lineup in these big playoff games just utterly going silent. It seems to happen in all these important games going back to Game 6 of the NLCS 2 years ago, or I guess 3 seasons ago now. It's just something always goes wrong, Matt, with these top guys.
I have mentioned this a number of times. I mentioned it in my preview article up online at PhilliesSportsReport.com. I flat out said the big bats have to come through. If they don't, this series is not going to matter. The series essentially, you could say about pitching all you want, tipping pitches, blah, 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 this, blah, blah, that. The top guys for the Phils, Kyle Schwarber, Trey Turner, Bryce Harper. I'll even throw Alec Bowman there because the top 4. I'll take the top 4. Those 4 guys versus the Dodgers 4 guys: Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, Teoscar Hernandez, Freddie Freeman. Those 4 guys. I understand Kike Hernandez had the big hit for the Dodgers again the first 2 runs, and JT had ours, and other guys will contribute. But when those guys don't contribute for the Phillies, they will not win. It's plain as day of that. And if their 4 guys, 4 key guys will be better than them, then what are we doing here? We could throw out the best pitching performance of our entire life. Look at Zach Wheeler last year. Zach Wheeler threw, in my opinion, the best pitching performance from a Philly starter since Roy Halladay's no-hitter in the playoffs, which is 15 years ago today. They'll be honoring him at the game tonight. That was the best performance I've seen from a Philly starter that I can remember, because I really don't remember the Halladay 2010 one as much. I remember watching the game. I don't have vivid memories of it. I have vivid memories of Zach Wheeler dominating last year, Game 1. And what did? They went out and wasted it because they got 1 whole run from a Kyle Schwarber home run. And after that, nobody else decided to do anything. Bryce Harper and Trey Turner and Alec Bowman came up small. Nobody else wanted to contribute. And at the end of the day, if the Phillies bats don't hit, if they're going to just continue to go 5 for like 31, I think they were in Game 1, and just score a couple runs, there's not much to be talking about. There's only so much a pitching staff can do. I understand Strom probably tipped the pitch last night. I understand that Rob Thompson shouldn't have left Dave Robertson in. I understand there was decisions that he should have made better. Hits don't come. we won't win. That's how we're built, and that's just how it's going to be.
This Phillies team is built very reliant on their stars.
Yeah.
And when they don't show up, you get outcomes like this. Of course, in the bottom of the eighth, Bryce Harper did have the base hit and Trey Turner did have the walk. But that was it. And it's just every time. I mean, the Phillies in their have lost 6 of the last 7 playoff games.
Mm-hmm.
They've lost. They're 1-4 in the last 5 at home.
Yeah,
and one of those games, the Stars haven't showed up. Yes, Matt.
Yeah, Matt Gell put this out. They have scored, I think, 3 runs or under in 6 of those 7 games, and the one game they won, they scored 7 runs. So that just shows you the clear difference in this game. The game where they scored 7 runs last year in the New York Mets game last year that they ended up winning. Other than that, they are itching by to not even be able to score runs. They scored 3 yesterday. That was the other. Every other game is either 0, 1, or 2 runs. They cannot score. And you wonder why they lose these games. There's a tweet right there. 3, those are all in a row, starting with the 3 Dodgers going down. That 7 is that Mets game last year, game 2, where Castellanos walked it off. Every other game, you're not going to win games when you score 1 to 2 runs a game. It's not going to happen, especially when you're playing teams like the Dodgers, who you can give this credit to their bullpen. You can say their bullpen sucks or their pitchers aren't that great. Their pitchers showed up on game 1. You have to hit those guys, especially when our pitchers, we say are that great as well, and they are. Christopher Sanchez shoved the other night, and you couldn't give him a lick of run support other than 3 early runs. He gets in one bit of trouble, and next thing you know, it's a 1-run game, and then Oscar hits that home run, and it's all she wrote. So I'm going to keep prefacing it. If the offense doesn't show up, they will not win. It's as simple as day. No ifs, ands, or buts. There's not much. There's not only much more I can expand on to be analytical about it. If Bryce Harper, Trey Turner, Kyle Schwarber don't hit, I'll even throw Bowman there. If they don't show up tonight, I just don't expect this team to win tonight.
I can expect them to win every night when your guys aren't really showing up, and especially with this lineup that is being rolled out tonight, which we will get to in a moment. And what the main talk has been about is Rob Thompson and his managing of the bullpen and the tipping and everything, which we'll get to. But the number one contributor to winning games is scoring runs. In baseball, the more runs you score, the more wins you will get. I mean, a pretty simple concept there.
It really is.
For those who are new to the sport. And you get those runs from your top guys. The Phillies did a pretty good job turning around their order. Bader was on base. Stott as well. And their top guys just weren't able to come through. We've pressed it so many times over the season is these top guys, they need to come through for this team. And if not, you're going to get results like this. But the bullpen is going to have to hold on to some leads. That is also a part of baseball, is your bullpen holds on to your leads. They blew a 3-0 lead, and it kind of started in that 6th inning where Christopher Sanchez stumbles after his 85th or so pitch, allows the 2 base runners, allows the RBI double. David Robertson comes in, he gets that big out in the 6th inning. Did you have an issue with him going back out in the 7th?
So I do and I don't. Now, I have no problem with the idea of what they were doing because they want to keep the right-hander in against the 2 right-handed guys coming up. And in that spot, it makes perfect sense. What you do is and because of the 3-pitcher rule now, it's really easy for them to just do that. Robertson got the last out in that inning. He comes out. He's got 2 right-handers that are guaranteed to bat the thing. They're not taking either of those guys out. And he's going to face 2 righties. He gets them both out. They pull him, and they bring in Tanner Banks, Ranger Suarez, Matt Strauss. They bring in one of the lefties they have. They wouldn't bring in Mason in that situation, but they bring in one of the lefties they have in that bullpen to face Ohtani, and that's the right move. And if Ohtani doesn't get if Ohtani walks, even if Ohtani hits a solo home run there, we're still tied in that situation yesterday on Saturday because it's only a 3-2 game. So that's the problem with that situation. It's not that I don't have a problem with them doing that. The problem I have with the move that they made on Saturday with Robertson going back out. Robertson has been an okay signing for the Phillies. He has been someone who's brought veteran leadership towards that bullpen. And, it was a form of money that you could spend and you didn't want to give up prospects in return for another bullpen arm that was very expensive at the July trade deadline. So I can understand the move making that. My issue is, though, and you have seen it all season, everybody has seen it all season, Rob Thompson is notorious for not sending his relief pitchers out for multiple up downs unless they're, long men or they're trying to get work in. When we're in tight games, even in the regular season, he has done this in playoffs past. He is known as a guy who, when he puts a relief pitcher in a game, unless he's like a long man starter, like a piggyback for a starter, when you just have regular relievers, you just have them in for that inning. And when they're done with that inning, they're done. So if you're going to do that during the regular season and past postseasons as well, then why all of a sudden do you think it's a good idea for Dave Robertson, who hasn't done that all year? Not once this year has Dave Robertson had gone into a game, sat in the dugout, and then came back out for multiple more outs. I understand you can't really rely on many guys. And I think another thing that didn't help is couldn't rely on Orion Kirkland as well. That was a big reason why Robertson went back out there, because he needed a righty. And he was his most trusted guy at that time. But I don't understand why you don't do that all season long, and then you get to the postseason and you decide, you know what, I'm going to send him back out there to do that. That's where the issue came with me. It's not really the issue of the idea of it, because I understand what they're trying to do. They're trying to get 2 quick outs and then they can pull them because of the 3-batter rule. But in my opinion, if you're not going to do that during the regular season, why are you doing it during the postseason? If I was Topper, I would have most likely sent out either Walker Buehler to start that inning to face the 2 right-handers, because it didn't even look like Robertson had it on the 1 batter that he did have.
Yeah,
I would have sent out Buehler to pitch that inning, face the 2 righties, and then either walk Ohtani and face Betts, or walk Ohtani and bring in another pitcher if you really weren't that confident. Or I would have brought in Ranger Suarez, who was in the bullpen for that exact reason. And you're going to say, why would you bring in Ranger Suarez to face 2 righties and then Ohtani and then 2 more righties? Ranger Suarez is arguably the second best player or second best pitcher on this team. He's a top 5 player on this team right now. If he is sitting in that bullpen game 1 and you say all hands are on deck, I'm throwing him in that spot. That's the biggest spot of the game. And it turned out to be the biggest spot of the game, because Teoscar came up and he hit that 3-run bomb. And it sucks because Strom was almost out of that game, but he wasn't. But that's where I would have thrown Ranger Suarez right then and there, because what are you holding him for? The 8th inning when you're facing Freeman and the 4, 5, 6, and then Duran pitches the 9th. That was the plan, I assume. Or you were trying to get by without using Ranger? No. If you're telling people that Ranger is in that bullpen, you're doing that in that situation. So I have an issue, obviously, with the move. I also have an issue in why he did it, because of up downs. You haven't done that all year, and the price showed right there, because Robertson just didn't have it. I don't know when the next time he's going to pitch in this series or even in the playoffs, because I don't know if you can have the confidence in him anymore. So it's going to be a really interesting bullpen tonight for after the Jesus Luzardo, because I think they just got to piggyback them a little bit more. They have Walker Buehler and Taijuan Walker for a reason to piggyback. Look what happened to the Dodgers. The Dodgers got 1 of their 27 outs the other night from a relief pitcher only, in Alex Vesia, the lefty, in the biggest spot of the game against Edmundo Sosa. If every other out was done by Tyler Glasnow, Shohei Ohtani, and Rokai Sasaki, who's basically become their relief pitcher closer, but he's still a starter. That is what good teams do. They have the extra pitching with the extra starters, and that's what the Phillies should have been doing. So it's just overall, I know I've been ranting for a little bit with this, but that's just overall why that decision was just so frustrating in the moment, because you are better well set and have a better bullpen. And you say you have this great bullpen too. You're very deep. You have all these starting pitchers, and you just don't end up using them. And now you're in this big hole right now, in a hole that you probably shouldn't be in.
I mean, you said it pretty well. I personally had many issues with it, because it's another example. And if you go back to old Rungers episodes this year, with me and Colin Daly, I have said since spring training, how am I supposed to feel confident with the same core and the same team for the 4 straight playoffs?
Yeah.
It's the same manager too.
Yeah.
And it's a manager that has not changed any of his philosophies since taking over the role in the middle of 2022. And one thing he does in the playoffs is he tries to get cute.
Yep.
He tried to get cute in the 6th and 7th inning. And putting Rob, not just as Topper never done that all year, is bring out a guy to get multiple outs in the next inning. you shouldn't. First of all, if you're a reliever, and you're put in a spot to get one out, get one big out, you're done.
Yeah.
You're done. You get the one big out, you're done for the day. You don't go back into the game unless you're the closer coming in for the 8th and going out
Yes.
after the ninth.
Yeah.
Totally different scenario in the 6th.
Real quick. The only person on my team that I am okay with doing that isn't a starter is Johan Duran, and that's for a safe situation. That's the only person on this team I'm okay with that.
Yes, I agree. So then you put him out there, and that's it. That last batter, you said it was 6 pitches where the first 3 were out of the zone, and he gets that weird check swing. It was a nice play by Robertson. They pick up on the check swing and then run it over. So you get that. And David Robertson, I don't know if we know this, he's 40 years old. Yeah. He could be my father. Like, it's just
could be my father.
It's just cannot, like, you got to know your guys, and that's one guy you cannot send back out for that inning.
No.
You do that. And then you bring in Matt Strom against Ohtani. He strikes him out. Ohtani has the golden sombrero. It was awesome. He gets Mookie Betts to go down. All right, cool. Then comes up Teoscar Hernandez, and obviously the Dodgers had something on Matt Strom because they huddled over, and when he came into the game to talk about something that was going on with Strom, and you see it in the picture. I don't have the picture on me, but you see it in that picture on the home run pitch he allowed to Hernandez. It was a meatball right down the middle. You see Andy Paz, on second base signaling something, and Hernandez takes it deep. You can see the fastball grip looking at the picture. His is so open.
Yeah.
And Matt Strom's another guy where you put him in the middle of inning. You can bring some guys in the middle of innings to clean up some innings. You've done it with Orion Kirkring all year, and it went very poorly. You've done it with David Robertson. Matt Strom, you have not done that with all year. So let's do it in the playoffs to a guy that we typically don't put into the middle of a sloppy inning. You see how it worked out.
No, 100%. It just, and I'd also like to preface this. People are saying that Robertson shouldn't even been in the game for the first batter as well. I kind of disagree with that. He's probably your best righty you have bullpen wise that isn't a starter. So that isn't, and also isn't Johan Duran, who you're saving most likely for the 9th inning. And then I also don't hate the move for Strom as well. Like, you want him to build his confidence. You want him to be your best left-handed reliever. But in that situation of game 1, when you have the luxury of having a guy like Ranger Suarez come in that game, I don't know why you don't bring him in. If you really want the lefty in because you're really afraid of Ohtani, which you should be, or Shohei Ohtani, I don't care about the 4 strikeouts. Shohei Ohtani is still Shohei Ohtani. If you're really that nervous, you should have brought Ranger in that game. And that is where this looks bad, because at any time you could have saved Strom. He could be pitching tonight in those same lefty spots that you need. It's just, with the situation they had and with the advantage of having healthy pitching, because they didn't have to play the wild card game. They didn't have to use those guys in those first couple games. With the advantages that they had, the fact that they didn't go to the guys they had available just makes it that much more frustrating. And, that might be the move that just makes you look back at the series and go, man, should have had a game 1. You had a spot right there. Could have taken advantage of it, and you could be in an amazing spot right now. Right now, it's so important. Not only just, obviously you need to win this every game you can, but just winning this game now just makes it so much more important. And losing that first game now just puts so much weight on your back. Now you basically lost all the advantage, because now it's the same amount of games at home and away. If this goes 5, they also have the advantage on you now, and they will at least have a chance to win 2 games at home to win the division or win the series. And you can do nothing about it now because you blew first game.
It's about as big of a must-win as it gets here tonight, and the pitching matchup, unfortunately, I don't really think it favors the Phillies either. We'll talk about the Dodgers starter. We'll talk about the Phillies starter first. Jesus Luzardo is the starter for the Phillies tonight, which I personally, if the Phillies had won game 1, I would have liked Jesus Luzardo pitching tonight. Since the Phillies lost game 1, I think I would have preferred Ranger starting tonight. However, the Phillies made the call before game 1, which is fine. And it's Luzardo tonight. 15-7, 183 2/3 innings, a 3.92 ERA, which is highly inflated by like 3 or 4
games.
Really, really bad starts. 216 strikeouts and a 1.22 whip. And he does pitch very well against the Dodgers in the past. 23 for he's against the Dodgers roster. He's 23 for 103. He's allowed just a 223 average against them, 266 on base, and a 684 OPS. You go back to the September game where Luzardo pitched in Los Angeles, and it wasn't great. However, those numbers are pretty good. Against Mookie Betts, 2 for 14. Ohtani, 2 for 14. Ohtani does have 2 homers off of him. And against Freddie Freeman, 4 for 11, a homer. And these are, I think, the common consensus is the Phillies brought in Jesus Luzardo to be the replacement for Ranger Suarez when Ranger leaves this offseason. This is a chance for Jesus Luzardo to really prove that tonight, and the Phillies need Luzardo to be great tonight, Matt.
No, 100%. This is the biggest start of his career. Like, I think that's what they've been saying through the interviews throughout the day. It's a big one for him. It's been a weird season for Luzardo because he started off so high. He literally was top 3 in Cy Young for the first 2 months of the season. And then he had that series in Oakland where he just didn't pitch well. And then that translated to the series at home against the Brewers. And we know the rest from there. It just went downhill a little bit there. He would have bright spots and then he would have low spots. He'd have another bright start and then he'd have another low start. And it's just been all over the place with him. But the good thing I've seen, his velocity is up right now. And that's really good to see. Tonight is really important for him, not only because you obviously have to win this game. You can't go down 0-2. But it's a chance for him to prove that if they were to continue in this postseason, it can be the stud that you really need him to be. And he could be that 1-2 punch with Sanchez, or 1-2-3 punch really with him, Sanchez, and Ranger moving forward the rest of this postseason if they were to advance. It basically tells you that if they can just fix this hitting problem that they have where they go in these big slumps and can't score a lot of runs, they can win these games. It's really important for him early on to get checked in and just be locked in, doing what he does best, blowing strikes past guys, lots of strikeouts. If he can handle that, and also another big thing, just shake off the non-success when it happens. Like if a guy gets a couple hits and they score a run, that's okay. That's where the offense needs to hit Luzardo up in that situation and score runs to take the pressure off him. It's a really big start for Luzardo, but I think he is ready for it. Like you said, he has done really well against the Dodgers roster as a whole. He's done really well against the top guys for them. And it's basically a need. They need him to be the guy that they traded those prospects for. They need him to be the guy that can just go out there and win them a game. They say that the starting pitching was just going to coast them through the playoffs and get them to the World Series. This is where that needs to happen right now.
What are you looking for from Luzardo tonight?
I'm really looking for him to value his fastball a lot. The Dodgers just weren't hitting Sanchez's fastball either. His off-speed stuff can work, and they weren't touching Sanchez's off-speed stuff at all as well. Sanchez's changeup was ridiculous the other night. They could not touch that. I am really looking – I want him to go a little deeper, so I don't want him to focus on only getting strikeouts. I want him to at least get to the 5th or the 6th inning. If he can get into the 7th, that's phenomenal. But he really needs to use his fastball tonight as his number one go-get-it pitch. And I want him to go after guys. I don't want him to sit around and, nibble a little bit and try to get guys behind in counts on off-speed pitches. I want him to go at guys, go throw the fastball, and if they hit solo home runs, they hit solo home runs. It's not going to be the end of the world. He just needs to settle in, and I think he can do that best by bringing the heat.
And if things do not go well for Luzardo tonight, even if they do, in relief, Rob Thompson, I feel like it's a playoff game. Any playoff game, everyone should be available, but everyone's available tonight. If they need Matt Brown to go out on that mound, he's ready to go out there, man. He's got a gross knuckle curve for those who have seen it.
I got nothing. That's the one thing I couldn't do.
Rob Thompson, pregame, will use Ranger Suarez out of the bullpen tonight in leverage. He's available. I could use him at any point. All right, so Luzardo or Ranger Suarez, it sounds like he's going to get used tonight. Aaron Nola in an emergency. So here's my thought. Why would you, must-win game, but if you use Ranger tonight, Aaron Nola's got to start out in Los Angeles Game 3, and that in 2025 is a recipe for disaster.
A little bit, but at the same time, I don't hate it because they need to switch up this lineup for the Dodgers. This is a concern I've had with with them having the 3 lefties that they have. It's great because, if they go into a series against a team that doesn't hit lefties well, that's pretty good. The Dodgers, they hit lefties okay, and they force them to play some guys that they don't always like to play. Like they sit Max Muncy usually in that situation. So you get that advantage, but getting the breakup between lefties and righties is a little important for them. And I honestly, right now, you're obviously playing behind because you're down the series. So if you need Ranger, you got to go to Ranger. But I don't hate that thought of Nola pitching game 3. I like it a lot more if the offense shows up tonight and you get a good feeling going into game 3. All right, offense is looking good. We're getting Yamamoto game 3. We got to go hit him, and we got to back Nola up because we know Nola's going to give up runs. But even in that scenario, like I've been saying, you have Walker Buehler, you have Taijuan Walker. I know Walker Buehler and what is it? Taijuan Walker Buehler. Yeah, that's what they're Taijuan Walker Buehler. It's scary. I know. But at the same time, those are the guys you got for a reason. And Buehler has been good in the last couple of weeks for the Phillies, but they need to break them up a little bit. And I honestly don't hate the thought of those three righties just pitching a game all by themselves game 3. So while that is scary in the big 2025 to start Aaron Nola in a playoff game, Aaron has shoved in the playoffs before, and I don't hate it, especially with you being behind right now. So if they can get a win tonight, we'll see what happens coming the next couple of days, and who knows what they do. But it'll be an interesting couple of days. But first, they have to win tonight. Do whatever is possible. And like you said, all hands are on deck except for Christopher Sanchez, obviously. But they just got to do what they got to do to win.
Phillies were off yesterday. They're off tomorrow. Everyone ready to go. And if this means you're getting Aaron Nola to start a playoff game in the big 2-5, it's just it's got to be what it's got to be. Meanwhile, for the Los Angeles Dodgers, they're going with Blake Snell tonight, who is 5-4 with a 61 and a third innings pitched, 2.35 ERA, 72 strikeouts with a 1.26 WHIP. That's his 2025. Not a real extensive season, but when he was out there, he was very effective. Against the Reds in Game 1, 7 innings pitched, 4 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, 9 strikeouts. He was great last week against Cincinnati, and he really dominated the Phillies when they were out in Los Angeles on September 17th. 7 innings, 2 hits, no runs, 2 walks, 12 strikeouts in the Phillies' final game against the Dodgers this season. What gives you confidence they're going to hit Blake Snell tonight? Or are we just wishful thinking at this point?
It's a little bit wishful thinking, but I will bring this stat up. This year in the Big 2025, Blake Snell at home.
Big 2025.
Blake Snell at home has a 1.17 ERA. On the road, he has a 4.30. Those are big difference numbers. And I really think that's a big advantage. I know we say this all the time because the Philly crowd has showed up, but this is a big night for the Philly crowd. You're not guaranteed the playoffs every year. And who knows what happens the rest of the series if things don't go their way out in Los Angeles. And this could be the last we see of Red October in a while. I hate saying that because I don't want it to happen. But tonight is a night where that Philly crowd has to be electric. And they got to get in Snell's head. And they got to use their momentum behind the Phillies hitters because that's where the Snell struggles come from on the road. Hostile environments, ones where it's rowdy. He can't hear things. He's getting flustered. So that's where I have the confidence in this Phillies team. What brings that down is their last time they were playing him in Los Angeles. It just didn't go out. And they've hit Snell before. They've hit him in previous appearances when he was with the Padres, with the Rays as well. They've hit him before, all these guys. But it's a different ball game. He's riding high right now off the start in LA against Cincinnati last week. He's still great. People think Blake Snell is just trash, and I heavily disagree with that. Guy's a 2-time Cy Young for a reason. He is one of the best left-handed pitchers in the league, one of the best pitchers in the league as well. He knows how to win, and that's what makes this scary. That's what makes this a really tough game for the Phillies, but that ERA really makes me feel a little bit better. Like I said, big key tonight is getting the offense going. And it's gonna be offense until otherwise. Until they go out and they're guaranteeing themselves 5 to 6 runs a game. We're gonna keep talking about offense until it kills us basically. And by killing us, I mean just eliminates us from the playoffs.
You mentioned the home crowd. I was in the building on Saturday. It was electric, but they still lost. The Phillies are 1-4 in the last 5 playoff games. They've won 1 game since Game 2 of the 2023 NLCS at home. I'm going to say it. Does home advantage not even matter? It just it feels like it doesn't even matter because it's obviously they're not winning games. So why should I show up and cheer if you're not going to win?
No,
why should I spend $400 to go to a playoff game, most expensive ticket in the league, just to watch them fall down and die in front of me? Why should I cheer? Why should I care, Matt?
No, you're 100% right. That's what them doing all this. That's what's causing the hatred to come out with this team, because people are spending so much money and they're supporting and they really feel like they're making a difference. And then they go to these games and the performances they get are just not the same. And it's really frustrating. I do think it does have a factor, the home crowd, but it's getting to a point where teams are just playing better ball and Phillies are either in their heads or they're just not using it to their advantage. So it's a really frustrating thing right now, but it is still 100% an advantage thing.
All right, let's turn to our starting lines. By the way, update on Saquon Barkley. He was did not practice in the Eagles' fake practice today. Just a little bit of soreness. Fully expects to go on Thursday.
Thank God.
All good there. All right, lineup time. We'll start with the visiting Dodgers. Pretty similar, or almost exactly the same as their last time just a couple of days ago.
I believe Miguel Rojas is the only difference.
Yeah, all right. Leading off, the designated hitter, Shohei Ohtani. Mookie Betts playing shortstop at second. Teoscar Hernandez is batting third, playing right field. Freddie Freeman cleans up at first base. Tommy Edman up as the 5-hole at second base. Kike Hernandez bats sixth in left field. Miguel Rojas, is at third base, batting seventh. Andy Pajes bats eighth in center. And then Ben Wardvet, I hope I said that right, is batting ninth and catching Snell, of course, the pitcher. So pretty similar for the Dodgers. And then meanwhile for the Phillies, a lot to break down. Trey Turner leads off at shortstop. Kyle Schwarber, designated hitter. Bryce Harper bats third at first. Alec Boehm is cleaning him up at third base. JT Realmuto bumps up to the 5-hole and catching. Nick Castellanos is batting sixth, playing right field. Playing second and hitting in sixth is Edmundo Sosa. Brandon Marsh bats seventh as the center fielder, or bats eighth as center fielder. And batting ninth is Otto Kemp, left fielder, making his playoff debut. And you'll see, first off the bat, no Harrison Bader. He had the tight groin after game 1. This is a huge blow for the Phillies. He might be available to pinch it off the bench, but he cannot enter the game after that. His groin issue is mild, but he cannot run at 100%, so defense is completely out. They don't know if it's an IL situation yet, but if they place him in the IL, can't play in the NLCS. They would gain another position player. However, the chance of losing him in the NLCS, it's just not worth it right now. So you're without Bader, and with your left-handed lineup out there, no Max Kepler either. So you get Otto Kemp and Edmundo Sosa at second for Bryson Stott, and it would be safe to presume that if Bader was healthy, he'd be in center, and Marsh would not be in the lineup today. But I think Marsh is huge, has become huge in this series because he's got to play every day now in center field.
No, 100%. He will be the guy going forward if Bader can't play. They're at a point where they can't play the lefties righties matchups and really waste the Wes Wilsons out in the outfield. I'm a little shocked with the Kemp move because I really think if Bader was healthy, Marsh could have played left field tonight, even with the lefty in. I think Marsh has earned maybe even a game. I know you might not do that if you're down in the series. You want the advantage, obviously, against the pitcher. And I don't expect Kemp to play the entire night. I truly think that at some point he will be removed from this game either for Kepler or a Bader at bat. So it'll be really interesting how they do that going forward tonight. I'm okay with Edmundo Sosa playing though tonight second base. I love Bryson Stott. I really just want him to be a better player than he is because I think he can be a better player. I think he can easily be a leadoff hitter in this lineup or a top of the order guy in this lineup. He just, I feel like has not gotten to his full potential. But you saw it last night. Mundo Sosa is still swinging a good bat. You can still see it. He was swinging a good bat in the regular season. He still is. He had a really good swing, 2 really good swings, in that at bat last night. Or not, sorry, I keep saying last night, Saturday, in game one. And he just missed that pitch that he popped out to or flew out to center field, man. He was right on that ball. And if he hit that grand slam, that would have been electric. If he just got a hit, that would have been electric. So I'm okay with him being in there. The defense really doesn't change. He is 1A to Stott's 1B when it comes to defense in the middle infield. And you guys got to try to get a couple at-bats out of him. It's going to be really interesting how that bottom of the order works because those are the times when those guys got to work a at-bat on base, whether it's a walk or they get a nice single or try to get on base because they really need runners to flip over to the top of the order. And we've been saying they got to come through those top of the order. So it's going to be really interesting if those guys don't come through or they do, because I really think it's going to dictate how this game goes. But I'm not upset with really any of the starting lineups tonight. I fully expected pretty much the same order from the Dodgers. Rojas gives a little bit better of defense for over Call, who was out there in the outfield instead of Hernandez at third. I think Hernandez is a better outfielder than infielder, and Rojas gives better defense at third base. So they're going with a little bit of better defensive matchup for Snell, who gets a good amount of ground balls, and I understand that. I think Rojas is still a good player, and that Dodgers lineup, we saw what they did the other night. They will battle all night, so it's a battle between these two lineups. I really don't know what else the Phillies could do with Bader not being 100%. So I'm not angry about anything, but it's going to be really interesting to see how this lineup produces.
Our SeatGeek Standout Stars is sponsored by SeatGeek, which is the easiest and most efficient way to buy your tickets. Even though they give us pain, it's always fun to go down to a Phillies playoff game or any game. Eagles, Sixers, Flyers, Union. Hey, Supporters Shield champion, Philadelphia Union. Their playoffs are coming up, or concerts or anything. It's all on SeatGeek. Make sure to use code Philly Sports Report. Save $20 off your first SeatGeek purchase. PHILLYSPORTSREPORT. And save $20 off your first SeatGeek purchase. Matt Brown, give me 2 SeatGeek Standout Stars tonight.
So I'll give you the bunch answer, and it's all the right-handed batters in this lineup against Blake Snell, the lefty. But I'll give you 2 right now of those righties. Trey Turner and Alec Bohm are going to dictate how this game goes. I fully expect Blake Snell to pitch around Kyle Schwarber and Bryce Harper. I know they haven't been great, and by pitch around, I mean they're not going to give them strikes to hit. They're not going to give them easy fastballs. They might not either of them see a fastball in their first 2 at-bats. This game is going to come down to all the righties, but more importantly, Trey Turner and Alec Bohm. Trey Turner has to set the tone of the game. He's got to use that 304 magic, get on base a couple times, put a base runner and move base runners if there's any in front of him on, and get the bases moving for Schwarber, Harper, and then more importantly, Alec Bohm in that 4-hole. He's got to be the cleanup man tonight, the cleanup man that can get that double, that can score 2 runs, get that key base hit, work a walk like he did the other night. I really do think it's going to come down to those 2 guys if this lineup is going to hit tonight. If those guys by the end of the night are 0 for 8 or 0 for 7, like whatever they are, 0 for 9, how many at-bats they end up taking, you're going to look back at this game and you're going to think, man, he blew it again, because I would be very shocked if those 2 guys don't have good nights if they pull out the win tonight. It would take their lefties showing up big time in Harper and Kyle to really flip that script. So I truly think standout stars tonight have to be Trey Turner and Alec Bohm. They have to set the tone of this lineup, and hopefully the rest of the righties follow.
Thank you to SeatGeek for sponsoring that portion of the show. Our keys to the game, Matt. I mean, you kind of said it with the right-handers and everything. Also, can't forget about Kyle Schwarber, who has the most homers off a lefty this season in baseball history. But what are some other keys that will lead to a Phillies victory tonight?
So I've been basically saying it, but obviously you got to get after Snell. Don't let him lock in. I feel like the vibe of this game will be set in the first couple innings. If Snell goes out there and goes 9 up, 9 down to start the game, we're going to be in trouble. It's going to be so hard for them to rally late. And it's crazy saying that because all season long, that's what made me feel better about this Phillies team. This team this year has rallied more than I've seen any of the other previous 3 seasons of this core rally before. In past seasons, they would get down 4 runs and they would not even get close to mounting a comeback. I've seen it multiple times this season where they get down big or they get down a few runs and they end up putting together a couple hits and they end up tying or winning games. I just haven't seen that in a while, or I haven't seen that before this season with this team. And then it just felt like going back to the other seasons in game 1. They go down those 2 runs, the air is lifted out of the building, and they just go ahead and tie. Like they couldn't put anything together. They couldn't get any runs going. They even had opportunities too with guys on base, and they just couldn't pull through. They can't let Snell lock in. They got to get after him early. It's been the key this whole series. They got to get to that bullpen as quickly as possible. They got to use Dodgers really need to start using some pitching because, like I said earlier, game 1 they got 1 out from their relievers that they have in Vesia. That was it. Every reliever for them is healthy, and I know that bullpen is not great. They have not been great all year, but healthy arms usually pitch better, and they have the advantage now. And the healthy arms, they have the advantage in the series lead. That's key number 1. Key number 2. Back up Jesus Luzardo. And it kind of goes back with the hits on the first take. But you got to take some pressure off Luzardo. We know he's not going to be perfect. If he is perfect, that's a plus. But we most likely expect Luzardo to let up a run or 2. And that's okay. I'm not expecting my pitcher to go out there every single night and pitch 7 scoreless with 2 hits. It's not going to happen. I fully expect Luzardo to let up a run or 2 in this game. I wouldn't expect anything less. It might not happen. It might turn to where Luzardo does throw 7 innings of no hit ball, lets up 4 hits, no run ball, and lets up 4 hits and a couple walks. But you cannot expect that. You need to give your pitcher some help. You need to let him be able to take the pressure off himself. So they got to get after Snell. Don't let him lock in. And you got to let Luzardo lock in by taking the pressure off him.
We are just over 20 minutes away from first pitch at Citizens Bank Park. It's game 2 of the 2025 National League Division Series between the Philadelphia Phillies and the Los Angeles Dodgers. Dodgers lead the series 1-0. Phillies looking to bounce back. And real fans, they need the best gear, and that's why FOCO makes the most legendary gear for the most legendary fans. Thank you to FOCO for sponsoring this show and the FOCO Fit Check, which we're about to do right now. Make sure you go click on the description to make sure you get some FOCO merch. Matt, game 2, big one tonight. What are we going with?
I have my classic Wawa Schwarberfest shirt. I've had this shirt for a couple years. It's by far my favorite Philly shirt I have. I didn't want to go jersey. I don't like doing jerseys unless I'm at games. But this felt like I need a Schwarberfest shirt. I know we're facing a lefty and Schwarber hasn't been playing good. I'm hoping this shirt gets some vibes to the team and gets the home runs out tonight. So yeah, that's what I got on tonight.
The Phillies need something out of Schwarber. He went 0 for 4 last game with 3 strikeouts. Has not been great for the Phillies over the last couple playoff games. For me, I'm going with a jersey that does not fit me. It isn't actually a double XL, so it is very big on me. But I think the Phillies need some juice, so I'm bringing out some juice. How about the Flying Hawaiian?
I love that.
Shane Victorino, World Series champion jersey. I don't know where I got this jersey from. I was looking at my closet. You know what? We're going to rock the Flying Hawaiian today. So hopefully, the Flying Hawaiian had a great game 2 NLDS moment, grand slam off CC Sabathia. CC Sabathia is in the stadium tonight for some reason. I'm not sure why he's there, but I saw a video of him earlier of him in a dugout. I don't know. Looked like he was at Citizens Bank Park. So kind of odd. But yeah, so thank you to FOCO for sponsoring. And another great pitching moment in the NLDS happened 15 years ago today at Citizens Bank Park.
Just about 7:45, October the 6th, 2010, the first postseason game for Roy Halladay. He winds the 0-2, swing and a dribbler out in front of the plate. Ruiz out to get it. The throw from his knees. It's in time, and it's a no-hitter. Unbelievable. Ruiz and Halladay embrace, and the Phillies again celebrate around Roy Halladay.
First of all, one of the great calls from Scott Fransky, just an all-time. I think that might be his best call ever, and he's been so great with the Phillies for the last decade or 2. But I mean, that gets you fired up. 15 years ago today, Phillies honoring that moment. And Roy Halladay pregame, they have not announced who's throwing out the ceremonial first pitch today, so you got to think it's something to do with this date and that being 15 years ago today. But I was 2 years old when this happened, so I obviously do not remember it. But, Matt, earlier you said you didn't have any fond memories, but I mean, just October, starting off with a no-hitter, just an all-time moment. Hopefully we'll give the Phillies some juice today.
Yeah, that was like the starting point of when I kind of remember Phillies baseball. I remember when they signed Halladay, and that was me at 8 years old, making me feel old right now. And because I really don't remember that World Series team that much, or the 07 team. I have memories of the 09 Cliff Lee team. But October was really when I started I was already playing baseball at that point, but that was when Phillies baseball just meant so much to me that season, and the one that followed 2011. Just an unbelievable moment from Halladay. I still watch. I've watched that game so many times. I watched that and his perfect game too so many times. That no hitter though, it just means so much that he was able to do that. His first career postseason start, no less. It's just one of the biggest moments, not only in Phillies postseason history, but Phillies history overall. And I really hope they do something special for tonight, whether it's a video package, stuff like that. This first pitch, maybe with Ruiz tonight, that'd be really cool to see him there if he did that. So really, really special thing. And I really hope that when the team sees that, they get going, or even Luzardo, they just use that as momentum for this game, because they just need to do something to flip this vibe.
They certainly need it, and that brings us into our predictions. So drop your predictions in the chat. We want to know what you're thinking tonight, and my prediction doesn't come with a lot of confidence, and it's much more hopeful thinking. I have been on the train of what I see is how I feel, and what I'm seeing right now is not good Phillies baseball, so I'm not feeling too good. However, I don't think the Phillies lose this game today. I think they come out. It's not going to be the most prettiest baseball game you've ever seen, but they can't go to LA down 2-0. They just can't. Phillies 5, Dodgers 3. Great start from Luzardo tonight. Bullpen backs him up well. Phillies get the win.
I like it. I like where you're thinking. I also have the Phillies winning, and I think it's going to be a little similar to how it's funny. We really didn't even mention this, but this is basically how last year's NLDS went with the Mets. Like, they blow the lead game 1. It wasn't as bad as blowing the lead this year as last year. Last year was one of the worst blown leads I've ever seen in the game. But they battled back game 2, back and forth. They ended up walking off that game 2 last year. I think it's going to be similar like that this game today. I think it's going to be tied, maybe even losing close. I think they're going to get some key hits down the stretch in late innings, 7th, 8th inning, and that's going to be the difference in this game. I have Trey Turner making some big predictions here. I have Trey Turner hitting a home run tonight. I truly think it's his night to go yard. I don't know if we're doing it solo, 2-run, 3-runs. I don't know what's going to be. I think Trey Turner's going to go deep tonight. I do think that Alec Boehm's going to have that big hit I was talking about late in that game that gives a couple runs that I think that's going to give him the lead. I had them win 6-4. Jesus Luzardo goes out. I think he gets into the 7th inning. I don't know if he'll finish, but I think he'll get into the 7th inning as long as he keeps the pitches down. I'm looking at 7 to 8 strikeouts is where I think his range is going to be if he can get that deep. It's going to be an interesting night for Luzardo, because if he gets in trouble, and he starts throwing a lot of pitches, it's going to be a quick night for him. If he can settle down, get his strikeouts, and still continue to pitch well, he can get deep in this game, get some bullpen, some relief, and really just hopefully close this game out for them. So I had them win 6-4. Trey Turner home run. I think Luzardo gets in the 7th inning, and I think Alec Boehm has the big hit towards the end of the game that gives them and lifts them to their first postseason win this year.
That would be huge. Thank you to all of you for watching the FOCO Phillies pregame live. Thank you to FOCO for sponsoring the show. Thank you to SeatGeek for sponsoring this segment as well. Make sure to go follow Phillies Sportsbook on all social medias so you never miss any action, and check out PhilliesSportsReport.com postgame for the recap and throughout the week. We're going to have you loaded with Phillies and Eagles and everything going on, so make sure you are always tuned in. And Goldstein and Matt Brown, thank you all for watching. We'll leave you with some October to get you fired up again. Go Phils! Thank you.
Go Phils, baby.
Just about 7:45, October the 6th, 2010, the first postseason game for Roy Halladay. He winds the 0-2, swing and a dribbler out in front of the plate. Ruiz out to get it. The throw from his knees. It's in time, and it's a no-hitter. Unbelievable. Ruiz and Halladay embrace, and the Phillies again celebrate around Roy Halladay.